Okay, so this is a new series I'm making. This is mostly because, I don't know, recently I had to make like an environment in Nuke because the original task was a matte paint task, but the supervisor decided to build the environment in Nuke so we could migrate the environment between shots and have like consistency, and so we would not have to deal with like crazy projections and stuff like that. So this is me trying to show that this can be done in Nuke. And so I just shot me walking in the garden, and just to get like a natural camera, because on the show we had normal cameras, and I had to track them and then to use the camera in the to build the environment so that would match with the plate. And this is something that I did in the past in a small scale, and this time was actually done in a massive scale. I think we had something like 27 shots with this. So this is just showing quickly the camera track. This tutorial is not about the camera track. I have a few videos in the channel regarding camera tracks. So this is just me quickly going over it. I'm gonna build had like a point cloud. I'm gonna build the geometry so I can double check if the tracking is good. Set a projection, stick a plane there, and so I'm gonna speak about the whole idea on how I tackle this, how I approach this when I got the task, and you guys can watch this very quickly set up. So the thing is, we had to, so this Nuke will hold up if you have a night shot, from my experience, because you can hide a lot of stuff. If it's dark, you don't show a lot of details, so you need to decide when to use the tools so it will actually hold up. So I would not recommend trying to do this in daylight, full environment. To build like a geometry and project like a building texture on it, yeah, that's fine. But to build a full environment like this, I'm not sure. Maybe yes, but I'm not sure. So in this case, it was a night shot, so I'm gonna also do like a low light situation here. But this is me just basically downloading for the YouTube video, downloading terrain, like environment terrain online. You can easily find this with the texture. So that will basically add like this little cabin and stuff. I'm just using the background as a reference for scale, so I don't make the cabin way too big. The thing is to now I'm trying to find the position of the camera inside of the massive terrain, and then the solution for this, the idea is to download objects or FBX or OBJ with texture and make the lighting with color correction and stuff inside of Nuke. So why use a camera tracker instead of a digital camera movement? Just to avoid having like a very fake thing, to add a little bit of a natural movement to it. But on the show, if you have to do it on the show, you will all of course have a match move, or you have like a plate to track. And I was surprised by how well you can handle this kind of stuff. So on the show, it was more like an industrial environment. So I downloaded a lot of factories, power plants, buildings, even trucks and stuff like that, and put them all in the environment. So the schematic is gonna be a bit big because you have a lot of textures and a lot of geometries. But what I found is so here I'm just trying to build like a fake lake or something to get some reflection, because this will immediately make it look like nicer, you know. So you see a lot of tests using the ZF to grade the footage and stuff. So this is something that I had to do over and over and change it several times, because what you are actually doing is basically the same as the matte paint will do, which is to look dev at the same time as you are building the environment. So you look dev and you can comp. And this is a position-based noise, which is nice if you want to scatter water. In this case, if you want to have like puddles and stuff, that's fine. That will help you out. So yeah, this is not like, it's not gonna give you the result of a CG render. This is for the background. So you can imagine, you have to imagine that, you know, in front of it you have your plate. And this is mostly for behind something. So in the case of the show, it was behind the gate of a factory. And then you can add all sorts of like environment things. You can add more geometries, you can add particle systems, and so in this case I downloaded some you know, 3 stumps, and just scatter them in the environment. It works really well to, you know, add more stuff, because that's something I learned on the show. If you add a lot of stuff, like small stuff on the corners and small stuff on the very far background, and if there is stuff everywhere, your eye will not be searching for flaws that much. If you have a very clean environment, then it will be tricky to fool the eye. That's what I felt in the show. So I added a lot of stuff very far that would not be that visible, but you know, there is a hint of something there. You'll see. So this I found like this is another little cabin, or just sticking it there. So we spend a lot of time building and playing around with the environment. It's very fun. So this is a bunch of rocks. I think this is from some Unreal package. It's also easy to find around. So see, this is me just grading it to match more or less, and sticking more stuff on the background. Basically, that's the idea. And I just use a lot of merge geometries to add stuff up. And on the show, what I did is I had one branch, one pipe for like buildings, and then a merge geo, another big pipe full of stuff for factories, and then another one for ground. So it's organized. You know, so it's easy to find stuff. If the supervisor asks you to, can you move this factory, rotate it, or whatever, it's easy to find. You can use labels or whatever you want. Something that I also find helps to, you know, keep control of stuff is to not have it all coming from one scanline render. It's not gonna work. It's gonna be super heavy and not easy to address nodes. So what I did is to have one scanline render for the main environment without any just lights, because I use lights to, you know, control where you should look in the environment to make it dark or not. And then one scanline render for the occlusion to create like a sensation of contact shadow between the elements. And then so if you render both guys, and this will be heavy, if you render both of them on a farm, you are blocked, and then they approve, good. You render both guys on a farm on high sampling or high quality render, it will be heavy. But if you have access to a farm, all good. And then you render the occlusion, fine. And then you have another scanline render that connects to the scene I'm talking about itself. You have on the left side the main pipe, the main scene. So this is where you will render this to approve the layout. Because you have to mimic the steps to be safe and to be able to adjust for changes easily in the future. Also, if someone takes over this, they will not be completely lost. So in the middle, you have the data passes, which is the same render. So the first one will be only RGB. You render that on the farm, done. And then have them in the middle one, the data passes that you need, like ZDef, position pass, and stuff like that. And it's another scene connected to the main scene and adding extra stuff. So the main pipe, I'm not gonna render like reflections there, because otherwise every change I make, I have to render the whole stuff. So to the right side, you have the cabin and the lake and the reflection. And then the ray trace render, the ray render with the reflection. Both of them are rendered separately, and then they are over on top of the other one. The fact that you have a deep from Nuke, it's handy, because if you wanna add effects that will go in front or behind stuff, you can do it. So it's always nice to have a live scene with all the elements, so you can hold out stuff if you want, and then you render them out. Beautiful. On the top, you'll see the branch of geometries. So first is the trees. So it's a lot of transform geos duplicated, and then you have the little cabin and the other stuff, and that's how you build. This is like a very small script for this, right? I'm gonna continue to build it. I'm gonna add also effects, so we can add like dust, smoke, fire, whatever, and have it reflect on and interact with the object. I also had the one that I duplicate the whole scene, connect the whole scene with a bunch of blinking lights because of fire and stuff like that. So you just put the blinking light next to where you have your fires on the card and animate like a noise on the light, so they will be blinking, and you have that over white on the white environment. So we use that to grade whatever you need on the main pipe. So the idea is to keep adding stuff on top of the main pipe. So they're all rendered individually. If you have a change, can you have it less bright? Easy. You don't have to render the main pipe again. You don't have to render none of the stuff again. You have the masks. You have where the fire is, where the light's blinking. You have a P mat from the data passes. You can use a position pass, make a mask, grade whatever stuff you need. So it's really easy to change, and it can be done. So I'm gonna keep advancing on this environment build to show you guys that it is really cool and fun, and possible, very much possible. And this I'm just gonna play back again to show. So what you guys can see here, of course I didn't render with high sampling on the geometry yet, because I'm testing stuff. So that's why it's blinking, the geometry. There's anti-aliasing on the bottom of the cabin. I did some effects on the cabin itself using PMATs just to test how it looks, because you are look deving stuff at the same time, and the reflection doesn't have that, obviously, so I'm gonna have to do it in a different way. You can see the stump, so the environment is starting to look like there is light coming from the cabin, so this was something like a 2 hour of me playing around. So in a work environment, in a day work environment, if you have some time to do it, you can really build this stuff up. I'm gonna keep doing this when I have free time, and I'm gonna try to keep showing the tree, how you can do it, and how to keep it clean and organized, how to make quick changes, because I feel that especially with Nuke 15, being able to handle more geometry, and this is also a good test for this. My experience so far was with Nuke. This one I built on Nuke 12.6 on this studio, and it was fine. So I'm guessing on 15 it will be even more stable. So I hope so. And yeah, so there is a dome with stars that on the grading it basically disappears. So that is a lot of stuff you can do this. We can do here. So I'm building from the background to foreground, so we can add stuff in the foreground, autofocus. It can be super fun. So yeah, if this is something that you guys consider to do, consider watching. Do the good old thumbs up, so I know this is something that is worth publishing more. And see you in the next one.